So I finished Turn of the Screw. I also listened to and finished Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. That was the second time that I read it. So let's talk about Turn of the Screw real quick. So Turn of the Screw is by Henry James. It's a novella. If you guys don't know, The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix was actually kind of loosely based on it. So it takes place, it's kind of like a frame story. So a story within a story. It starts out with people sitting around telling each other ghost stories. And the narrator, if you will, says that he has this really great ghost story that he wants to tell. So he has this really great ghost story that he wants to tell. And he says, I have this ghost story. It's written down. It's been entrusted to me, but give me a minute. I got to go get it from my vault. So then we go into this story, and it follows a young governess who's been brought on to watch this wealthy young gentleman's niece and nephew in the countryside at Bly Manor. So she goes, and a lot of stuff goes down. The young boy, Miles, I believe his name is, he gets sent home from boarding school, and she has the young girl, Flora, and she starts inquiring from the housekeeper what happened to the previous governess. And it comes out that the previous governess died, but she didn't die in Bly Manor. She went home on a holiday and died when she was at home on holiday. So you learn that Flora was very taken with her governess, her original governess, and Miles likewise was taken with his the groundskeeper, Peter Quint. And there's a lot of weird stuff that starts happening. The governess thinks she sees ghosts, the ghost of Miss Jessel, the old governess, and the ghost of Peter Quint, the old groundskeeper. And she comes up with these crazy theories that from beyond the grave, these two are using the children for their machinations, evil machinations. And they need the children for this. And she is convinced that children knows that she knows, and all of this stuff. And it's very, very crazy. And you find yourself wondering throughout, like, who's the crazy one? Is it our governess, the one that we're being told the story from? Is it the children? Do the children really know? Do they not know? It is a wild ride. And I found myself explaining it to my husband the other day in the car, and I'm like, oh my God, our governess, she is crazy. Like, she is insane. So, it's really good. It's 100 and something pages, I think, so it's really short. So I listened to it on LibriVox. And so I did a lot of things, like I was crocheting, I was working out and stuff. So I listened to it while I did stuff around the house, and it went exceedingly quick. So I would highly suggest it. Either grab like a free version since it's in public domain, or listen to it on LibriVox. But it's really good. I think I may end up going back and rewatching Bly Manor to see how close it sits and what I think about it. So then the other one I read is The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. It's a reread for me. I read it probably about 6 years ago, and it was honestly the first time I'd heard about it. I was told, here's this book, you gotta read it because you gotta teach it. I'm like, yay. So when they told me Metamorphosis, I'm thinking Ovid, which, I mean, I read the Metamorphosis by Ovid in classical Latin during my undergrad. So I'm like, oh yay, I get to teach. No. So Kafka, the guy who invented, well, the reason why Kafkaesque exists. So I wasn't fond of it when I first read it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it was weird. So I listened to it again because I'm actually, by choice this time, I'm actually going to teach it again to a college course. And it's very interesting when you think about it from like a psychoanalytic perspective. Basically, it's 3 chapters. It's about, I want to say about 70-ish pages, maybe a little bit less. So it's a very short novella. And it follows this dude named Gregor Samsa. He wakes up one day and he discovers that he is a cockroach. Let that marinate for a minute. He's laying in bed and he wakes up and he's a cockroach. Gross, right? Gross. So not only is he a cockroach, but he describes like laying on his back and his tiny little legs. Like, ew. So it's gross, okay? So it's him as this cockroach dealing with the fact that he's going to be late for work and what's going to happen if he's late for work. And it goes on, time passes. There's instances of him talking about him scurrying under, I think, the couch and how he likes it being under the couch and it makes him feel safe. But the problem is his whole wide cockroach body won't, I'm laughing about it now, but it won't fully fit under the couch, and how much greater it would be if it did fit under the couch. And like, it is insane. You get to the end of it and you have to ask yourself, is Gregor really a cockroach, or is Gregor living inside his head? So that's where the psychoanalytic aspect is very interesting when you think about it. If you think about from maybe that psychoanalytic perspective, you wonder about this repression, like what's coming out, what is making him become this cockroach, or at least think he's this cockroach. How is he working things out through that? And it's quite fascinating to me. Do I like it? Not necessarily, but I am still 1000% convinced that Gregor himself is not a damn cockroach, and it's all in his noggin, and he is crazy. That something, without giving anything away, something that is kind of mentioned in the first chapter, that something either he did or something they found out about him doing or something like that caused him to have this mental break in response to the possible consequences of that. I don't know, because they never, Kafka never actually tells you whether or not Gregor really is this cockroach. I think that he is. Yeah, I reread that one and read Turn of the Screw. Both are really good. Both are on LibriVox. Both are very, very quick reads. Another one that I re-listened to / read is The Tragical Tale of Dr. Faustus. It's still pretty good. It's crazy. It is Christopher Marlowe. He is a contemporary of Shakespeare. It's kind of like in the vein of an old medieval morality play, and dealing with giving his soul or selling his soul to Satan in return for some type of reward. And then it's like very redemptive in the end. So Mephistopheles shows up. Honestly, these are recurring characters once Marlowe really did a big thing with it. So if you've heard of Dr. Faustus, it's usually from this. Update, though, on current reading. I am still reading Silver in the Bone. I think I'm like 200 out of like 480 pages. I'm trying to. I really want to like the book. I love Arthuriana. Honestly, it was my love of King Arthur and all of that stuff that got me into medieval literature. So I have a very, very soft place for it, but I can't. I'm trying so hard. There's nothing that I really care about with these books. There's no characters that I'm really caring about. It's like, are you done yet? Are you done yet? And like there's references to famous Arthurian characters like Olwen, and she comes from Colic and Olwen and Chrétien de Troyes. But so I like some of the little Easter eggs that if you're not really familiar with Arthuriana, you may not catch, but those of us who are, or medieval romances will catch. And I love that, but I just can't. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna try to finish or come back to it another time. I'm just really struggling with it. But on that note, my husband and my buddy, my best guy friend, are going to we're going to buddy read a book. Well, gosh dang it. I don't even remember the name right now, but I'll put it up here, a picture of it. We're going to buddy read it. It's really short. It's like 162 pages, I think. And it is a gross out book. So it's like gross for the sense of gross. Like it's trying to intentionally be shock value. So my husband picked it up the other day. And I don't remember why we were talking about it, but we're talking about it. And the cover of the book is gorgeous. And again, you'll end up seeing it right here. So it's beautiful. You know, I love it. I love the skulls. I love the flowers. I love everything. And he started flipping through it and he started reading the supposed most gross scene in the book. And I could not stop laughing. Like I was laughing my fucking ass off. And this is at lunch. And I'm trying to eat and I'm like eating and like choking because I'm laughing so hard. And usually things will get to me more when I read it. And so it just laughed. So we decided that we're going to buddy read it, all three of us, and then come talk about it and our responses to the grossest scenes ever, the scenes you need to be aware of, and our reactions. So hopefully we'll do that here sometime this month in January. If not, well, hopefully that's a plan. And then a friend of mine wants to buddy read Shadow of the God by John Gwynne. And so a student gave me that book. One of my students, he left it on my desk and he's like, hey, miss, you've recommended some good books for me and I know you love reading. And this was my favorite book and I just got a special edition of it. So I wanted to give it to you because I think you would love it since you love Norse and Viking stuff. I think this would be up your alley. So he wrote me this beautiful little note and I love it. And it's been sitting on my shelf for a few months. But a friend of mine said to me, hey, we should buddy read that because I see that you have it and it's been sitting on my shelf for a long time. So let's do it. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm down for that. So we have this buddy read, this really short novella that we're going to do. And then I'm going to read this with another friend of mine. So hopefully within the next month, 2, we have some good stuff, or I have some good stuff coming out. So what are you planning on reading this January? Do you have a TBR? I try not to do TBRs because I'll make TBRs and then I'll never get through them and then I'll feel depressed about it and I feel defeated. I finally accepted the fact that I am more of a mood reader. So I tried not to do TBRs. I have books that I know that I really, really kind of want to get to, and they may take precedence over other things. But me, myself, I am not really a TBR type person. I'm more of that mood reader, especially when I deal with graduate school, when my semester starts back. Like I need to just read something that brings me enjoyment and warms my heart rather than feeling obligated that I have to read it. So are you guys a mood reader? Do you have a TBR? What are you thinking is going to be your first read of 2024? All right, with that, deuces.